Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So Monday means it's Modern Monday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and we have a super spicy, pretty unique take on taking turns to look at today. This is blue-white taking turns, but it's not your typical blue-white taking turns. It's got some really spicy additions to it. Comes to us from the Poke, who took it to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Modern League on Magic Online. So congrats to the Poke on a super sweet deck. A quick reminder before we break down blue-white taking turns for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it main to videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, blue-white taking turns is built around, well, taking some extra turns. Our big extra turn spells are Temporal Mastery and Time Warp. So, Temporal Mastery, 7 mana, but a lot of times, hopefully, it's going to be 2 mana if we can miracle it, and then it's a literal Time Walk, just like the Power 9 card. We also have some sweet ways of potentially putting it back on top of our deck from our hand, like Jace the Mind Sculptor. Time Warp, on the other hand, just 5 mana, target player takes an extra turn after this one. Ideally, we will be targeting ourselves. I'm sure there's some crazy situation where it could be correct to give our opponent an extra turn, but 99% of the time, Time Warp is just giving us an extra turn. We also have Exhaustion, which is basically a pseudo extra turn spell, so if our opponent taps our mana, casts something, attacks with their creatures, Exhaustion actually functions pretty close to just taking an extra turn. Our opponent doesn't get to untap, which means they can't develop their board, they can't play more stuff, they can't leave up counter magic, they can't attack us with their creatures. They do get to draw a card, so it's not quite as good as an actual Time Warp. However, it's only 3 mana, so it's super cheap. So in a lot of ways, Exhaustion is like the cheapest extra turn spell that we have available to us in Modern. So what are we doing with all these extra turns? And normally, extra turn decks are built around drawing a bunch of extra cards with Howling Minds and with Dictative Krufix. Those are the cards that most decks use because you really want to be chaining together your extra turn spells, and just taking an extra turn, playing a land drop, drawing a random card, that's not really good enough. But if you're drawing 2 or 3 cards a turn, then you can just chain them together, really go off and kind of combo off and take not infinite turns, but enough turns in a row that you can win the game. Our deck does not have Howling Mind or Dictate, though. Instead, we have Jace the Mind Sculptor, which obviously it's really good. It's really good in this deck where we're taking extra turns and putting miracles back on top of our deck. But even more exciting is As Foretold, which is another really strong synergy with our extra turn spell. So Jace, it just brainstorms, it finds us more extra turn spells. If we get ahead, we can start Fate Sealing. During our extra turns, we keep ticking up, so it's also our finisher. Just does everything we want. As Foretold, on the other hand, is our big card advantage engine, while also working well with our extra turn spells, because every extra turn we're getting another counter, and after a few extra turns, we're actually like casting our extra turn spells for free with our As Foretold, leaving our mana available to do other things. So the big combo with As Foretold is we can just Ancestral Visions ourselves without suspending right away, draw 3 cards. So this kind of eliminates the need for the Dictative Krufixes, for the Howling Minds, all that stuff. We also have a bunch of other kind of card filtering options. Ops, Serum Visions, to dig through our deck, set up our extra turns. They're cheap enough that we can hopefully cast an extra turn spell and be casting these to like scry useless lands to the bottom, find another extra turn spell for doing our extra turn. Days Undoing is great with our As Foretold in specific, because ideally what we'll do is be able to maybe use our As Foretold to cast our Days Undoing while also casting an extra turn spell before the Days Undoing, because we don't want to end our turn, but cast an extra turn spell, then use As Foretold the Days Undoing. We get to refill our hand, our turn ends, sure, but we're going to our extra turn, so we kind of eliminate the downside of Days Undoing, where your opponent gets the first shot at untapping with all these new cards in hand, if we can do it that way, with extra turn spell plus As Foretolding out Days Undoing. As far as defense, we got 2 options. Cryptic Command, kind of like an extra turn spell, not really a full one, but it can kind of fog our opponent's attackers, bounce something, counter something. Lots of value there. Worst case, we cycle and draw a card. Living End probably looks really strange in our deck since we have 0 black mana. However, it's another sweet trick with our As Foretold since we can cast it for free right away, wrath away the board. We don't really have many creatures in our deck, just a few Snapcasters, so kind of a one-sided wrath. Speaking of Snapcaster, that kind of rounds out our deck list. Snapcaster gets back all of our cantrips, can actually flash back some of our extra turn spells, just a lot of value to be had, and it's our backup win condition. During our extra turns, we can just keep attacking for 2, take an extra turn, attack for 2, attack for 2, take an extra turn, attack for 2, take an extra turn, attack for 2. Eventually, that gets the job done. It's not pretty, it's not quick, but it is a way we can close out the game. Search for Iscanta filters in the early game, and then in the late game, it just digs for our extra turn spells. If we can get up to like 9 mana, 8 mana, we have enough mana, we can activate our Iscanta, also cast the extra turn spell that we find with it. As far as the mana base, few spicy options. Tolaria West can tutor up our Ancestral Visions, also tutors up our Living End, our 0 mana stuff. Worst case, it's just a tap blue source, which is fine. Maikakuru gives us a Howling Mind effect on our lands. Field of Ruin lets us destroy Urza's lands, for example, creature lands, Gemstone Cavern, some fast mana if we are in the right scenario. We can also use Tolaria West to tutor up our one of lands like Maikakuru. Otherwise, bunch of fetch lands, some dual lands, some basic lands. The sideboard is where the white cards come in. So you're probably wondering, where's the white cards? This is blue-white taking turns, and the white cards are in the sideboard. And the idea of splashing white is it gives us the ability to deal with stuff that we couldn't deal with mono blue. For example, Terminus gives us potentially a 1-mana Wrath if we can miracle it, maybe with the help of Jace putting on top of our deck. That's something you don't really get in a mono blue deck. Timely reinforcements for life gain, some jump blocking creatures just to stall out. Our deck really needs to get to like 5 mana to start casting extra turn spells. That's when it goes off, but if our opponent can kill us quicker than that, we're in trouble. Timely just helps us stabilize. Artifacts, another thing blue kind of struggles with. Stony Silence comes in and locks down stuff against Affinity and against Tron. Then we have some blue counter spells, Disrupting Shoal, Spell Pierce, Ceremonious Rejection, and that is blue-white taking turns for Modern. And that's our instant deck tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.